And welcome back to Happy Hour. Cheers. My last podcast actually did pretty good. Made a lot of people laugh. And I actually was surprised to find out that we had people listening from all over the world. I had views in South America and Europe and Asia. You can see all this on your insights. And I was dumbfounded at how many people I had worldwide that were listening to my buffoonery. But anyway, a friend of mine reached out and he says, dude, you got to do a spoof on the 80s music scene. Because, there's so much comedic value in that alone, right? The 80s, man, damn. What a time that was, right? Big hair, big boobs, and music that was loud and proud and upfront. The thing that always comes to my mind is how skinny we were back in those days, right? I probably weighed $160 and I'm 6'4", but I could eat a Christmas turkey and a pumpkin pie and never even gain a pound. That was the amazing thing about that time in my life. Now I can just drive past the Taco Bell and gain 10 pounds. Jeez. But there were three things that were essential to every 80s musician, and all my long-haired brothers out there will get it. Number one was a girlfriend with a job. That was your lifeline, right? Even if she was a little ugly, as long as she had a good paying job, you were in, brother. Number two, top ramen noodles. Saved thousands of 80s musicians. Thousands. We always had a packet of those in the cupboard. Number three, all-you-can-eat buffets. Remember those? Those were the gift to the 80s musicians. I remember there was a buffet. It was called Peking Chinese Buffet. Ironically, it was owned by a Vietnamese guy, Mr. Lee. And I remember one time we went in there, we ate for like 3 hours, if not more. And Mr. Lee comes out and points at me. He goes, "Hey, mister, you see the sign out front? It say all-you-can-eat buffet. It don't say eat all you can. You eat for 4 hours. You eat so much you scare my customer. You scare my wife. She afraid you're gonna eat our children's. No wonder there's so many starving people in Vietnam. You eat all their food. Go home, make a sandwich. Get out of my restaurant." Mr. Lee was harsh. And then there was Poncho's. Poncho's, all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet. That was the shite. Man, we would go in and clean that place out. And you remember they had the little flags that you'd raise on your table, and they'd bring you sopapillas and honey. But even Pancho himself finally came out and said, "Por favor, señores, yo tengo una familia. I have a family. You ate all my children's food. I have no food left for my family. Could you please, vaya con Dios, vaya a la casa." Now, when Pancho sends you home, you know damn well you're eating too much. Pancho's was the bomb. And remember, the more you look like a chick, the more chicks you got. By the way, these transgenders that are out there raising hell, telling everybody they want equal rights, let me tell you something. We were dressing like chicks before you were a twinkle in your daddy's eye. And by the way, we had better makeup and better hair. We had split ends. We were devastated. You guys don't care about that stuff. And by the way, there's nothing more terrifying than seeing a grown man in a pair of spandex that are so tight, you know his social security number. And the scary thing is, there's dudes out there right now in their 60s wearing those same spandex with their camel toe and the little cute outfits and whatever. And they got a belly so big, I want to grab a stethoscope and listen to the belly and see if there's a second heartbeat. But God bless them, they're still doing it. But one thing I want to say about the 80s musicians is that we were totally committed to what we did. We would literally rehearse like 8 hours in a storage building. It was like 115 degrees. And we couldn't wait to get out of our day jobs to go in and rehearse. And we did everything, man. We did the choreography. We did everything. I mean, we put on a show. I mean, our outfits, we would spend our last dollar on buying another pair of spandex and spiked leather gloves and all the regalia and all the crap, and not to mention the cosmetics. Keep in mind, I had a band called Max Factor. It doesn't get any more glam than that. I think I was one of the first dudes that got up there and dressed like a woman. And we were pretty, by the way. But the funny thing is that the 80s had a scene, and it was a real scene. I mean, remember when we would get the tickets? We'd have to, put tickets out, and for every ticket you got like $1, which is better than what you get now. And we would put tickets on windshields and in the post, anywhere we could find to put a ticket. We'd put a ticket to go play the back room, right? And we got $1 per ticket. So they basically paid you for how hard you worked. And we worked our ass off. We really did. I think of all the great bands back in the 80s. There was a movie recently done. I think it was called Bloody and Bruised. And I actually went and saw the screening. And, man, they left out a lot of good bands, including mine, Max Factor. I mean, we were just as much as part of the scene as all the other bands like Dangerous Toys and all these other bands. But, man, we were out there hustling in freezing cold temperatures. I mean, we'd go out and pass out tickets, and put them in our put them on cars, whatever. And remember, everybody would grab the other band's tickets and throw them on the ground. I mean, it was fiercely competitive back in that day. It was like a civil war going on between bands. But we had a scene, man. And honestly, I think Austin, Texas had a just as big as metal scene as any other major city, but we didn't get discovered. Like Hollywood was the thing. Sunset Strip was the thing. But let me tell you something. There were some great bands that came out of Austin. Some great bands. We never got the notoriety because we were in Austin. We didn't have all the record labels like you did in L.A. But the 80s was a magnificent scene, man. Gosh, and the women. You remember back in the day, the heavy metal outfit for women was the black leather mini, the white bustier, and the red pumps. If you didn't have that, you didn't have it going on, sister. But gosh, the women were beautiful back in those days. And with the hair. You remember the big hair? I mean, literally. You remember the Aquanet can with the pink label? Dude, that was like a heavy metal guy's best friend. I mean, we could get like 3 to 4 feet of altitude in our hair with that Aquanet. Only problem is, you've got close to a flame, you go up like a Roman candle. I actually saw one of a buddy of mine that tried to do a bong hit and set his hair on fire, and it literally burned a skunk stripe down the middle of his head. And he never knew because his hair was so far away from his head. He had like 4 to 5 feet clearance. But it burned a skunk stripe right down the middle of his damn skull. Whew, I bet his mama beat his ass when he got home. But the 80s were a good time, right? We were all passionate about what we were doing. Now some of us, are wheeling around oxygen tanks. We got monogrammed by Ted Nugent. But what a great time the 80s were, right? What a great time. Nowadays, you got a bunch of guys getting up there in flannel and, they're doing their thing. But they don't put on a show like we did back in the 80s. I mean, we would literally do hours of choreography, I'm sorry. And I mean, we would work our asses off to put on a great show. It wasn't just the music, it was the show. Now, you go see some of these bands live, it's like watching somebody mow the grass. It's not that exciting. But anyway, I want to dedicate this podcast to my buddy that doesn't want to give his name away, and I don't blame. I wouldn't either. Anyway, see ya.